Happy to be joined by Sugar Sean O'Malley. He's in the main event of UFC 292 against Aljamain Sterling for the bantamweight championship of the world. What does that mean to you to be fighting for a championship?
To be honest, it feels like another fight. It kind of, once I knocked out Eddie Wineland, every fight was kind of a big fight. I feel like I always had a lot of interviews, a lot of press, a lot of hype around each fight. So to be honest, it feels like another fight. 28 fighting for the title seems about right. That's kind of how I, envisioned my career playing out, just getting started.
Yeah, that's a good point. As much as a lot of fighters don't really enjoy doing media, because you have become something of a household name in this sport, having to do that kind of media for all of your fights kind of gets you prepared for what the workload is like prior to a big fight like this.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think people really understand how much there is to do interviews wise, press wise, when you're a star. So, I've been doing more interviews and stuff than Aljo when he's champ, when I wasn't. So, I'm very used to it.
Now, I listened to an interview that you did with Andrew Schultz, I believe it was, where you talked about your motivations for getting into this sport to begin with, which was basically, fame, money, and women. Now, I would say you probably have all three of those things locked down, but being a champion doesn't really fit into that unless you believe that that's part of the recipe. Although, like I said, you've kind of gotten all of those things already just by proxy of people caring about you and caring about your career. So, when you talk about this being just another fight, is that a better way to approach it than to put the pressure of being a champion on it?
I don't know if it's necessarily a better way. It probably is. I think it's probably better to look at it as just another fight than, oh no, this is such a massive fight and like put too much pressure on my shoulder. So whether I'm doing that instinctually or, I don't know. I feel like it truly is just another fight. But yeah, I've made a lot of money already in this sport. But once you're champ, once you start getting those pay-per-view points, that's when you start to make some serious money, and that's what I'm after.
You've been pretty realistic. I believe you've mentioned to me in the past that you know that the recipe for all of these things coming together is winning. Like as soon as you start to lose, that's when people start to I guess lose interest in you at times. I'm not sure if that would happen with you. I'm not saying that you're Teflon in that regard, but you just never know what a loss will do, and especially given that you haven't lost really in the UFC aside from the injury loss to Chito Vera, we haven't really seen any sort of popularity drop for you. So when you look at becoming the champion as a whole, like what extra value does being a champion bring to you as a person?
I think there's just the opportunities, the brand deals are endless as the champ. Like I said, the pay-per-view points, that's a very real thing. So, being champs is a big deal. As far as losing popularity, I'm not necessarily worried about that because I will be in an exciting fight regardless. And I love fighting, so I want to stay active. Nate Diaz, you seen him lose to Jake Paul, and that didn't do nothing. Nate's still the man, still the freaking man. You see these guys in the UFC that have a lot of losses on their record, and they're still, like look at Masvidal was a star with a lot of records. Connor's not on the best win streak. He's still a massive star. So I don't put too much pressure on myself when it comes to that. Like, oh, I have to win so people will be interested in my career. I believe that I will continue to put on fun, exciting, beautiful performances for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And yeah, so I definitely don't put too much pressure on myself.
You put out a message, I believe it was on Twitter, saying MMA managers are so bad with a lot of O's. Stay tuned. Do we still need to stay tuned, or what does that mean?
Yeah, that's I'm waiting to release it the right way. It will be, I think it'll be a big deal. It'll be massive, and it will hurt someone's uh, someone's business, and rightfully so. So I'm gonna put it out there the right way. I got to talk to my legal team and make sure we're doing everything right. But yeah, MMA managers are so bad. It's horrible. It's embarrassing. They're stealing money from fighters. They're taking percentages of these guys' bonuses, and that really pisses me off, to be honest. You go out there and win a bonus. You have a war. You get 50,000, and these managers are trying to take a percentage of that. It really actually, not a lot of things drive me crazy. Not a lot of things that get under my skin and make me mad, but that does. And I'm going to be fighting for fighters' rights and this management stuff. These MMA managers are horrible. They do not deserve 15%, 10% of their negotiation with the UFC. So yeah, that'll be a whole series of things to come, and I'm excited to be on the. It's four fighters, 100%, and yeah, that's still a stay tuned moment.
Well, without getting to the specifics of that, what is it about MMA managers in general that you think operates differently from the major pro sports? Like, I mean, we have the agent certification in a lot of the major pro sports, and different kind of, I guess, triggers that need to be that need to be taken care of in order for these people to get that certification. What is it about MMA that's kind of made it a little bit like the Wild West in terms of how fighters are managed, and why do you think that is?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I can't speak to other sports and management in other sports because I should be in the NFL, but I'm not. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't know how other sports work and stuff like that. But I just have been around the MMA scene for long enough. I've dealt with certain managers. I've fired certain managers. I've sat down with the UFC and a past management to negotiate my contract to where I was doing all the talking. The manager didn't say anything, didn't help me at all. And then I write him a percentage of the check. So, they're not good at what they do. At least none of the ones I've been with have never been, good at what they've done. They take way too much percentage of UFC fight money. Oh, my dog's all right. They just take too much money. I don't think they should deserve as much money as they're taking. They should make their money off brand deals. If you guys, make the fighters money and then you get a percentage of that. But taking 10, 50, even 10%, it sounds like less because most are 15 or 20%. Um, it's just too much. I think, they deserve 3% max. They're not really doing a hell of a lot. But also, there's some fighters that want to have to deal with absolutely nothing, and they're okay with paying people that much money, which I think is just a lack of skills and on their in them. And but yeah, like I said, could be a whole hour interview on that specifically.
All right, so let's look at your career then right now. I mean, if you're not operating with a manager, and we see your name was on the octagon in a recent UFC event, it said Suga with your logo, and we've seen proper number 12 and things like that on the octagon, but it's rare that we see a fighter's brand represented on the actual physical octagon of the UFC. You've done that without having an MMA manager, so to speak. So how are your affairs managed? How much of that of time, I guess, your time is occupied with that kind of stuff? And how does, I guess, the Sean O'Malley business work, if I were to ask it that way?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a business advisor. I definitely have a very, very smart team around me. That helps me with deals, lawyers, legals, looking over contracts, stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily doing it completely alone. But when I go down and I sit with the UFC and negotiate my contract, I am doing that. And I am sitting there with Hunter. I'm negotiating the contract. And, I think that's something a lot of fighters can do that they don't necessarily know that they can do. Schedule an appointment with Hunter, Dana, Sean, Mick, whoever it is that's kind of making your fights and contracts, schedule an appointment with them and go talk to them. And that's what I've been doing. But as far as the name on the canvas, yeah, I'm doing an awesome, sweet collab with Sweet Sweat. And so, yeah, and all my brand deals, I'm on the phone with them. It's not a manager. It's not a middleman. It's not someone, relaying information, because that's really what some of these managers do. If, say, the UFC has a brand deal and one of the companies wants to sponsor the fighters, the UFC will go to that manager, and that manager will go to the fighter, and then that manager will take 15% just to relay a message to you. So I don't think that's fair. I don't think they're doing a good enough job to make that much money percentages. Fighters already, you know, aren't millionaires generally, so I think 15% is a lot of money to a lot of these guys. But yeah, I think I also enjoy business. I enjoy being on these calls. I enjoy being talking with these guys. But yeah, I also do have a team that helps with me a lot.
I feel like we're turning a little bit into CNBC here, but one last question about that. So, are you able to kind of take a step back and when you see your name on the octagon, realize how kind of cool that is? because we haven't seen that sort of thing very often in the UFC in history.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was on the last. It was on that last card. Bright, beautiful pink letters, Sugar. Obviously, that's kind of the brand I've built my name around. And yeah, I believe it will be on the fight in Boston while I'm fighting for the title. It's a huge honor. It's awesome. It's sweet to be able to work with companies, like Sweet Sweat and do collaborations like that. So yeah, I definitely, would say like it's a big deal.
All right, let's get back to the fight itself. Aljamain Sterling. You haven't fought a lot of fighters that have his kind of skill set. What unique difficulties will he pose for you that you haven't otherwise seen? And what about on the flip side of that? What unique difficulties will you provide for Aljamain that he has yet to encounter in his UFC career? I know you've given him a lot of respect as a fighter going into this fight.
Yeah, 100%. Both of us, neither of us have fought guys like each other. I mean, pretty much, there's a lot of guys that are kind of similar, orthodox kickboxers with a little wrestling. Like, there's a lot of guys that are pretty similar. I think we are both very uniquely different. I don't think he's never really fought someone with my speed in the snap and the crack that I have, the accuracy that I have. I will find his chin, and how he deals with that, we'll see. Me, on the other hand, I've never fought a grappler that good. I've never, at least not in the UFC. I trained with really, really high level guys, so it's not like I've never felt a good grappler before. So, but yeah, it's a very difficult challenge for both of us, to be honest. And I'm very excited to go out there and execute my game plan. That's what it's going to come down to, is who can execute their game plan. It's 25 minutes, a long game of chess, very violent physical game of chess. And, it's very exciting.
Several years ago, we saw you compete in submission grappling, and we saw how good you are in that realm. I feel like that's been something that's been in your back pocket a little bit in MMA that we haven't had a chance to really see in the cage. Is this going to be the time where we kind of get to see how all those skills come together that we haven't really seen you have to use in fights?
Hopefully not. Ideally, I don't want this dude to touch me. That's my mindset going into this fight. Do not let this dude grab me. Do not let this dude take me down. And the more I can stay on the feet, the better chances I have of winning. So, it's kill or be killed, life or death. Do not let him grab me. That's the mindset I'm going into this fight.
Well, it's a pleasure catching up with you, Suga. Looking forward to seeing your main event, UFC 292 against Aljamain Sterling in Boston. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yep. Thank you, bro. Have a good one.